tuned. Tonight we are focusing on matters politics, in particular the revenue sharing formula that has been divisive. You saw what happened yesterday. The senators could not agree on the matter, and still there was some drama here and there with senators being arrested, and what precipitated to a 12-member committee being formed to sort of create an agreement concerning that particular matter. Tonight, we're having Mr. Alex Kubo, who is an advocate and a political analyst. Welcome, Mr. Kubo.
Thank you very much, Irene.
All right, first things first, what did you make of what happened yesterday at the Senate, given that they had a long sitting from morning until around 8:20 p.m., but still they did not really sort of create an agreement concerning that particular matter? What do you read from that particular sitting?
I think the special sitting was very interesting. I think most of us enjoyed the circus. But if you're very keen, you'll have realized that a lot of politics twisting went on over the weekend, more so on the government side, trying to make sure that the Sakaja-led team does not amass as enough support to be able to marshal numbers come the special sitting which was supposed to be yesterday. Unfortunately, it did not bear fruits. That is why we saw 3 senators being arrested. And also seeing that they were not very, I think the government side was not very strategic to be able to foresee what transpired, or trying to foresee the ruling by Senator Lusaka with respect to what happens when the head of a delegation does not delegate his or her vote to one of the members in his or her delegation. I think it was very interesting.
Right. Now, looking at the issue of the 3 senators being arrested, Senator Cleopas Malala, his Bomet counterpart, Christopher Langat, and Stephen Lelengwe from Samburu, do you think the state was somewhat desperate to have this the President Yoweri amendment to be passed, and of course looking into the revenue sharing formula? Are we seeing the state now becoming too desperate to, pull such tactics?
Absolutely. Let's not say it's the state. Certain individuals who are very desperate. They really want the revenue as proposed by the Finance Committee of the Senate to sail through for obvious reasons. So they had to use all the tools in their toolkits to make sure that that particular proposal sails through in the Senate. Unfortunately, it did not, because they did not have the requisite threshold to be able to do that. That is why you could see they could even go to the extent of arresting senators. But either way, that did not yield fruits. So the desperation is real, and I think right now they're on a corner, and the only way is the way that was proposed yesterday, whereby now the senators had to form their own ad hoc committee to be able now to come and see the way forward.
All right. Now, in the Senate, we do have the changes that were made, and in particular, now Elgeyo Marakwet Senator Kipchumba Murkomen and Susan Kihika, who is from Nakuru County, being demoted from their leadership position, having West Pokot Senator Samuel Pogisho and Murang'a Senator Irungu Kang'ate being put in certain position, but we have seen that they have sort of not been able to marshal numbers, in particular concerning this particular revenue sharing formula. And some have intimated, political pundits have intimated, that the 2 leaders have failed in their mandate. Do you read from the same script?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think, Irene, how you ascend to leadership really matters. If you ascend to leadership through legitimate means, through a clear-cut way, then you somewhat win the hearts of the people that you lead. But if you force yourself to leadership, or people force you to a particular position, then you somewhat lose credibility, and certain individuals will not take you seriously, or will want to water down the authority that you wield. And that is a problem that Senator Pogisho and my learned friend Kang'ate find themselves in. Kang'ate and Pogisho were literally forced upon by the Jubilee leadership. And what we have seen so far, let's just give it as somewhat of a historical background. Their first task was to replace Murkomen and Kihika, which they did easily because they had the numbers from the ODM side. The second one was to replace the deputy speaker, my learned friend and very learned senior, Professor Kindiki, which they did easily because they had the numbers. That is now they brought in numbers of the Senate or of the ODM side. But now when it comes to revenue sharing, as I said in the last interview, revenue sharing is very personal. It's personal to a Senate because it affects the operations of a county directly. And the senator will be answerable, not only to the governor, not only to the county assembly, but even the people who elected him. Because the counties, imagine counties that are losing $1 billion and, literally their operations will be stifled. Now, it will be very easy to point out who was the cause of all that. And most of these senators might want to ascend to governorship come 2022. So it is very personal to them. It is very personal to their counties. So they tend to brush away any political persuasion coming from their political parties or coming from other extrinsic forces and say that this is individual. Look at what the senators, more so from Northeastern and the Upper Rift Valley, are saying. That our counties are losing more than 800 million, right? We are still struggling with issues. We're not even making enough. You still want to remove this. We cannot allow, because they're saying this is personal to us. Look at Mombasa, Faki. Look at Kwale. Look at what is happening in Kwale, Lamu, and all that. You'll see all those governors, senators are voting together. Right? So it is just the outliers, the likes of Sakaja, the likes of the senator of Cherio, the senator of Kericho, Kipchumba Murkomen of Elgeyo Marakwet, that the senator of Meru, who are saying that even, and Cleophas Malala, who are saying that even though our counties are gaining, but we want a formula that will also take cognizance of the counties that might be losing. So it is very personal, and that is why they're finding it so difficult, and almost to a greater extent impossible for them to convince senators to vote in favor of the revenue proposal by the Finance Committee of the Senate.
All right.
So they have failed. They have failed, and also look even how they are going about the business. I think Edun Kangata is not fit. My land senior is not cut for that job. I think Edun Kangata somewhat has the Sonu way of doing things. He has not taken that off yet. You can't, you could. I think if you saw how Susan Kihika does her things, she's very, very, very. How she goes through senators and all that. I think Edun Kangata has a long way to go. And the earlier the president and the Jubilee leadership knows that, the better for them, because we are still left with almost 2 years. Other bills will be coming through. They might even fail to pass. Kipchumba Murkomen, I think, goes on has never failed to pass any bill. There are instances where there were a lot of issues, but still he used his intelligence, he used his legal knowledge to be able to sail through the murky waters. So
are you saying that now President Uhuru Kenyatta should go back to the drawing board and sort of demote these two leaders and choose different leaders in those particular leadership positions? Because we've also seen that it takes the minority leader, James Orengo, to sort of bring the House to order. There seems to be some it seems like the majority leader, Samuel Pogisho, the House has not really warmed up to him. Should President Uhuru Kenyatta now go back to the drawing board and replace these particular leaders?
Absolutely. I'll just give you a background. Look what is happening in South Africa. Look at the majority leader in South Africa, the gentleman from ANC. Man, that guy he literally controls, when he speaks, he literally controls the House. Look at just close the hope, Kipchumba Murkomen. Before Kipchumba Murkomen was Professor Kindiki. Yeah? Look how he controls the House. Look at Pogisho rarely speaks. It was actually only yesterday when Aaron Cheriot pointed a finger on him that he stood up and tried to assert himself. But he didn't do it effectively. It has to take, as you correctly pointed out, I think Orengo and Mutula Kilonzo Jr. are literally holding these guys' hands. They are walking them through. And it is unfortunate because sometimes you ask yourself, is it Orengo who is the majority leader, or is it Pogisho? Because Pogisho, even from his demeanor, is a calm guy. I think that particular position does not want someone who is calm. It wants someone who asserts himself, someone who talks boldly, someone who is ruthless, and someone who is not, who is very courageous. And I don't think Pogisho has those qualities. I think he's a very calm person who just he fits to be a backbencher than a majority leader. For Irungu Kangata, I think senators just don't take him seriously. It's unfortunate. So yesterday, the speaker actually had to warn him. He doesn't take. I think he still embraces his own way of doing business, and I think he has not really gotten into the motions of knowing that he is the majority leader. He's a majority whip, and there are certain things that he should do in a particular way, not just doing things haphazardly like what we have watched him do. He gets sometimes emotional and lose it on the floor of the house.
All right.
So I think they replace them the better for the ruling party.
All right, now talking about the issue of knowing their mandate and what they should do, it seemed like the Senate has failed counties, so to speak, in particular looking at this revenue sharing formula and some of the bills that they have passed before the House. But now, looking in particular into this revenue sharing formula now, because we're talking about the 9th time, we're not even sure that we'll be talking about the 10th time, because now the 12-member committee will have to sit and reach an agreement. These are members who have diverse opinions, but some have intimated that before it even gets to the 9th time, Senate has sort of failed to find a clear way concerning this and sort of help the counties. A lot of things have come into place, including tribal politics and party politics, therefore making the counties now being under the mercies of whatever the Senate will decide. Looking at the trajectory of the Senate, are they really failing in their mandate?
Absolutely not. I think, in my view, I'm seeing a Senate that has, this Senate was a sleeping giant. I think right now, everybody is talking about the Senate. We have been talking about the National Assembly, Duale. National Assembly, Duale. But right now, we are now talking about the Senate. I think now the Senate has been a sleeping giant. We have seen the Senate as that independent house. I think if people should be happy about the Senate, it's at this time. Because we are seeing the Senate has been divided, not because of the political affiliations, but because of the interests of the counties. And that is a very, very good thing for me. Unfortunately, I am not seeing the same kind of vigor, the same kind of support from the Council of Governors. I think the governors are not coming out, because the governors, of course, money has not been dispersed to the counties. But we are not seeing the county governors coming out and giving their stand. I saw a very, very weak interview by the chairman of the Council of Governors, or Wycliffe Ambetsa Oparanya. And, and I agree with the Honorable Sakaja when he says there is no leadership. The Council of Governors has a very weak leadership. You remember the time of Isaac Ruto, the time of Peter Munya, the time of Josephat Nadok. But this time they could have brought in numbers. People are not talking. The governors are not coming and saying what their way is. They're not proposing that this should also happen. They're not trying to tell the senators to fast track or giving some kind of an opinion on how the senators should go about this revenue allocation, revenue sharing bill. And I think that is one of the problems that you're seeing. But with regards to how the Senate is functioning, I think I'm excited. I think the Senate is back to life, and I think this particular bill has breathed some fresh air, some fresh air to the Senate. So it should continue like this. We are seeing what is happening in the US, for example, when the likes of Lindsey Graham, the controversial Mitch McConnell, we are seeing those kind of debates in the flow of the Senate, and which is exciting. Now what we expect is the same goodwill from the government side as well. Because now we are seeing saying, this is what you're standing for because of A, B, C, and D. The government side is saying because of that. So they need to sit down and be the way forward. It's no longer about phone calls being made from the house on the hill. It's no longer about meetings happening in the midnight hotels. No. It is about the debate. It's about how persuasive you are on the floor of the House and how you tend to work so hard to meet an agreement. That after that is when now the motion sails through. And I think that is very exciting. And we should, as Kenyans, we should really appreciate that.
All right, there's something that you've said, and I don't want to leave it at that. The issue of Council of Governors not really coming out boldly to say what they want, since they're one of the main stakeholders when it comes to devolution. There's something that the minority leader in the Senate, James Orengo, had earlier intimated, that the Council of Governors has sort of left them down by cutting a deal with the central government or with the state, and therefore making the efforts by the Senate to be derailed. I don't know, from where you sit, you think that the reason why there's this tussle concerning the revenue sharing formula and the funds that is being dispersed to counties is somewhat caused by the decisions that the Council of Governors make at the end of the day. Do you think there is a correlation between that, even as the Senate fight to make sure that, you know, money is taken to the counties, the COG or the Council of Governors sort of derail the efforts that are being made by the senators at the House?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, there has to be, and I remember Bobby Mkangi, one of the gentlemen who was in the committee of experts, has always said for the success of devolution, there has to be a direct interaction between the Senate and the county governments, because it is the Senate in the Constitution that has the powers to that has the powers to protect, preserve the interests of the counties. But we have seen county governors surpass the senators, go and cut deals, then come back. When it has backfired, they come back to the Senate. And you can see this. I personally, I think I am very mad, most of the governors that within counties that are losing. You know, I am not seeing Ali Roba of Mandela talking. I am not seeing Mohammed Mohamud of Marsabit talking. I am not seeing Governor Joho Sultan talking. I am not seeing Amason Kingi. I am not seeing Salim Vuria. You know, I am not seeing these governors talking. You know, they could come out and say, we are behind our senators. You know, sometimes even the senator thinks, we could, yes, exactly. We needed a certain position from the county, the Council of Governors, when they say that we support the senators because of A, B, C, D. With respect to the county governments that we might be losing, then this is our proposal. They are not even preferring proposals. I don't know if you heard what Alfred Mutua said. You know, he told the senator, he went to a rally and said that if we lose this money, it is the Senate. You know, but we need a united front from the governors as well. We need them to come up with proposal. We need them to say if they agree with the proposals by the Finance Committee, by the CRA, or the Sakaja motion, the Luturi motion, and things like that. You know, once you have an idea from the people who will be affected directly, then I think for them, you as a Senate, you can work with something. But right now, they are coming up with a model that will affect counties for 5 years. And the counties are not even in the picture. The governors themselves are not in the picture. Very few of them have even said anything about it. And if they have said things like that, they are pointing fingers at their respective senators. You know, for example, in South Africa, before such a motion is passed, that senator must have the powers, or you know, in South Africa they have provinces, as we have counties. They have it, is speaking for, and that authority is given. The decision of Mombasa County, for example, that we opposed the formula by CRA and the Finance Committee, he is going to speak there on behalf of Mombasa County because he has been given the decision of Mombasa County. So, you know, he speaks with a lot of authority. So I would have loved to see Sultan say, I oppose this because of A, B, C, and D, and our Senator, Honorable Faki, please proceed and oppose. You know, once you have this, you know, even it speaks volumes. It speaks volumes. But unfortunately, we have seen county governors quiet. I don't think maybe they are afraid to brush shoulders with the powers that be. You know, we need them to be bold. It's very unfortunate. I saw my very learned friend, Senior Councillor Nasir Abdullahi, raising the same concerns on Twitter the other day. He was saying he's not seeing governors from Northeastern talking about this revenue, and they're the ones who are the most hit. Right. They are quiet. Right. And things go haywire, they lose money, then they start blaming the Senate. Okay. But right now, I think high time that they come out strongly and support the senators on this.
All right. Now, concerning this particular issue, we have seen leaders come out to talk about it. We have seen the Deputy President William Ruto send statements concerning it, even through his Twitter account. We have seen the ODM leader Raila Odinga today comment on what happened yesterday. But the deafening silence by President Yoweri Kenyatta has raised concern, given that he's one of the people, his people, so to speak, people from the central, backyard, are set to benefit from this particular revenue sharing formula. But he has not really come out to say, let us take this direction or that direction. And it is so unlike him, given that previously he has come out to defend some of these things that touch in several areas, in several parts of the country. Why has he been so silent concerning this particular matter?
I think as a political analyst, I honestly think the brains, the powers that be is the president. I think Uhuru is fully behind the one man, one vote, one shilling. His senator Wamatangi, is the guy who is the senator behind this. He's the first person to introduce this particular motion in the political scene. And also Senator Kabogo as well. That's really the former governor of Kiambu, Kabogo. Yeah. This is the legacy that Uhuru wants to leave for the central people. You can see every senator from the central, from central is fully behind it, including Senator Kihika Kimani, of Nakuru. They are fully behind it, behind it. You saw how Kihika voted yesterday morning for the session to be adjourned, so that the speaker can find out of the well-being of the three senators. But coming back at 2:30, she voted that the motion should proceed, despite the fact that the speaker had not received cogent evidence and information regarding the three senators. Yeah. That should tell you that this is the legacy that the president wants to leave. And number two, and very important, is what the ODM leader Raila Odinga tweeted the day he came from Dubai. I think the second or third day, issue of sharing formula had just heated up. And he said that he's behind the proposal by CRA, which he came to later change and say that the senators should work on a formula that's a win-win. I think this Uhuru Kenyatta is fully behind it, and he's using any force. He's ready to use any tool at his disposal to make sure it sails through. And that is why you see the pronouncements by Senator Kipchumba Murkomen and Aaron Cheriot, that there are certain state house operatives, people from the office of the president, trying to twist them, vote in a particular way. That will tell you that the Uhuru Kenyatta is behind it. If Uhuru was not behind it, we have seen in many ways when the MPs wanted to increase the salaries. He came out and said he will not even assent to that. He will not sign that bill. But for this, he's quiet. He's quiet. What we are seeing, what Adam Smith once said, the invisible hand. We are seeing, if you open your inner eyes, you will see his invisible hand. There's no way an IG can be summoned by the Senate Security Committee regarding three senators and he failed to show up. Same to Matiang'i. Then that should speak volumes. It was only the DPP who actually today, with respect to Malala, said that there are no charges to be preferred because he was exercising his independence. Otherwise, it could have been dark days. Then, of course, certain charges could have been preferred against Senator Malala. All right. So Uhuru is behind it. He's not quiet. We're just seeing, his full soldiers are the ones who are actively working, but he's the one breathing life.
All right. Finally, as we really conclude, because of time, You've talked about the issue of Senator Malala from Kakamega, of course, the arrest yesterday, and some of the human rights activists and political pundits have, of course, raised concern concerning that particular tactic that was done by the state to arrest those 3 senators. And looking at the charges that they're being implicated on, some really do not even hold water. And I will point to the case of Senator Malala now that the DP says that he has no charges. But do you think now we are going back to the old kind of days? Because for some, it really resonates with the way things were handled by previous regimes. Is that it? Are they now pulling that particular move? And don't you think it is detrimental to the democratical gains we have had so far and in this the 2010 constitution?
I agree. I think we are going back to those dial days, but we are not going back. We are attempting to go back, but because of the constitution, right? Because of independent offices, because of the will and zeal of certain senators who are saying that we will not allow us to go back. We will not allow ourselves to go back. That is what is stopping us from really going back. But if it were not for the Constitution 2010, for example, the independence of the DPP, I'm sure you have seen, the DPP has had huge issues with the DCI. Because the DCI arrests and they prefer charges. It is the DPP that has the power. The prosecution in Article 159, it is the DPP who has that mandate to prosecute. It is the DPP who has that mandate. And the DPP has had to really fight hard to be able to assert its authority on that particular issue. So it is because of those safeguards that we cannot transition that fast to those days whereby someone is arrested and it disappears. I think for now, you could, even the senators yesterday, they actually came together, all of them, and said, this is wrong. This one is wrong. And it is because of those safeguards that we might not really transition to those times. But even the attempt of taking us back there is very unfortunate. It is very unfortunate. I think this particular debate, it could have been won yesterday. Why not for the machinations and the kind of, monkey business that we saw from the government? That debate could have been won, could have been dealt with in the morning. Because senators said they came to debate. Were it not for those, the monkey business by the government, then that issue could have been discussed fully yesterday in the Senate. So we might not really go back. Attempts are there. We might not fully transition. We'll see arrests here and there, intimidation here and there, but I do not think we might go back because of certain constitutional safeguards that protect us from going back. I think this time, the framers of the Constitution, having the back, what was happening in those kind of old days, they put some safeguards to protect us from going back there. So the president might not really, call the DPP and say the DPP prefer these charges on so and so. That might not work. That may not work. My only worry is the police force. The police service now, it's no longer the police force, it's the police service under the Constitution. I think that is the only problem because they are being misused. They're being misused, and I think it is high time that the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Mutiambai, really acknowledges his role, his constitutional duty of the office that he of his office, because it is the only weak link right now in the administration of justice. Because we have seen the courts, we have seen judges dismissing such frivolous charges. We have seen them. We have seen the government losing. We have seen the ODPP saying that the DPP saying that I cannot prefer charges. There are no charges against these people. So the only weak link there in that chain is the police force. And I think Kinoti should come out very strongly and Mutambai and say, you know what, this is how we do our work. We cannot be forced to arrest. I think once you put your foot down, then I think really the authorities, the powers that be, will respect you. Will respect you because even they enjoy security of tenure. It's not like those arenas I finished where you'll just be on your way. You're having a meeting somewhere and they're just told you have been fired. No, they enjoy security of tenure, and they should utilize that because at the end of the day, if the DPP is working, if the judiciary is working and the police force is not working, then of course the administration of justice is somewhat compromised. So my plea is to the IG and DCI, please play your role. Play your role, try and play your role as per the law. Then everything will be okay.
All right, the final question as we wind up in 1 minute. Kindly tell us whether you think the 12-member committee that has been formed to sort of create an agreement concerning the revenue sharing formula will finally agree. Looking at the number and scrutinizing what the different interests, is this the final, bullet to, of course, do away with this revenue sharing formula that has caused a crisis in the counties?
I think the goodwill is there. The goodwill is there. We saw it yesterday at the tail end of the Senate proceedings yesterday. The goodwill is there, but unfortunately, my worry is what is the state saying? Is the state willing to compromise? That is the problem. Because we have the likes of Senator Sakaja, we have Oloitiptip there, we have Kipchumba Murkomen. Those are people who will not allow any kind of intimidation. We might see it in the floor of the House again, but that is if the state still wants that whatever the proposals sail through. But if the state can compromise, then I am seeing a situation whereby we'll have something. There will be a white smoke.
All right.
There will be white smoke.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Kubo, for making time and, of course, giving us a perspective concerning what will happen concerning this particular formula and what really precipitated yesterday, what you read from that and from the leadership and the stakeholders of devolution in terms of the revenue sharing formula. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right, that has been the discussion on the revenue sharing formula, what happened yesterday, what is expected to happen. I can't add more concerning what Mr. Alex Kubo has said concerning that particular matter. We're taking a short break, but we'll be back in a moment. Do not touch that dial.